I wanted to take a minute today at the beginning of the podcast and say thank you to our sponsor, Huber Engineered Woods. Huber has actually been a sponsor of the podcast since 2020 when we decided to start this little endeavor. Without our sponsors, this content is probably not something that happens. But I think the best part about having Huber as a partner on this is it's an incredibly authentic alignment. Peter, Steve, and I all use Huber Woods. I've been using Advantech Subfloor for coming on probably 21 years now. I've been using Zip System and Zip System with the insulation on the back, the Zip R, since 2013. It's a system that I believe in. That systems approach where things play well together. They have design parameters that allow you to use their system for what you're working on. It works. Their tech support's there. Their knowledge is there. I've never had an issue with their product, and it's a great thing that they've decided to sponsor the podcast. So thank you, Huber Engineered Woods.
All right, Unbuild It Podcast. Yeah, welcome back. Steve Basic here. Got Jake Bruton.
Hello, hello.
And I got Nick somebody from Huber. What's your last name? I forget.
Sabol.
Yeah, I knew it. I'm just teasing.
I'm just seeing if you knew it.
See if you
Sometimes I forget.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I've seen you at a tiki bar. That's right.
All right. Something else went through my mind, but anyways, it shouldn't. Huber Engineered Woods. Yeah. You work with them, and you are?
So I work on our technical team.
Technical team. Mm-hmm. How about your title?
Senior Product Application Specialist.
Senior Product Application.
That's how you get away without giving someone a raise.
That's
you put the word senior.
SPAS. SPAS.
That's why I just say I'm a part of our technical team.
Application
it's a smaller
specialist.
mouthful.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about. Yeah. Anyway. All right.
6 years
like
at Huber.
The military would do.
That's
you give some big old name. 6 years at Huber.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations on the anniversary.
October.
October what?
1st.
Really? What time?
What time? 8 a.m. reporting.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
That's right.
Just wanted to know if you knew.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, because you are an applications specialist.
That's right.
Senior application. So let me ask you a question just so I know who we're dealing with here. Mm-hmm. Is there a senior above you? Application specialist.
There's only one senior application specialist.
Okay, so you're the man.
Well, I would say that Mike
there
Dye.
Be only one. It's a real Highlander thing.
My boss is the man of man.
No, you're not weaseling out of this now.
No.
Okay. All right. So because you are the senior application specialist for Huber, we're going to talk about some questions. Mm-hmm. And these questions are going to be directly related to what if we took Zip R sheathing and put it on the roof?
It's the first I'm hearing of this.
Dun.
Question mark.
It's the question mark.
The question mark.
That's right.
So
get this question at least once a week, if not more. R sheathing, continuous insulation, can we put it on the roof? First and foremost, let me just spell out the procedure for Zip System and Zip System R sheathing in general. We have our prescriptive code, Zip System, integrated structural panel with a water-resistant barrier. The R sheathing adds the foam for thermal performance, is not a prescriptive item. So we have to have an evaluation report that spells out, okay, this is how Zip System or Zip System R sheathing can be used in order to comply with your local and international code. As of right now, Zip System, standard Zip System sheathing, we list in the evaluation report, ESR 1473, that you can install Zip System sheathing on the roof and that it functions as a structural roof decking and a layer of underlayment, right? We don't have that verbiage in the R sheathing evaluation report. So from us, it's hard for us to be able to support it from a company standpoint because we don't have anything to point to that says, bingo. That being said,
legally we're covered.
That being said, I would lean into, your expertise as an architect, knowing what the components involved with a roof where you want to implement continuous insulation, R sheathing being a structural decking material that's attached to a polyiso foam, and I think we can go from there, right?
Can we start by talking about why R sheathing still works as a structural sheathing on a wall assembly, and then talk about why it might not work on the roof, in their opinion?
Sure.
I think that's
well, I'd be interested to understand why you don't think it would work on a roof.
Yeah.
So let's first, why does it still carry basically a struck one rating on a wall up to R9, right?
I wouldn't say struck
Sorry,
one.
the panel still has a struck one rating.
It can still function as a structural sheathing on the wall, because in that report we have the results of structural testing that we've done. We have a table that lists prescriptively how it can be installed as a part of a braced wall. And then we also have a table with allowable shear design values for an engineered wall assembly. When it comes to roof decking, and for me, one of the hesitations, and even our assembly, we've actually come up with a document that kind of shows what we would suggest if it is installed on the roof. Our assembly involves it being installed over a layer of structural decking. I think part of us is concerned with how, if you just install our sheathing over the rafters, perhaps compressibility of that foam over time may make a
wavy
roof. Yeah.
Wavy structural sheathing.
I think that's one of the components as to why we don't have anything out yet. I mean, believe me, we've been working on this one for quite some time. I think it's a matter of time before we add it to a report or we have a separate report.
Okay.
Interesting. It's funny because I remember being with Brent and Alan and talking about when our sheathing was first coming out. And I said, this would have more of an impact on roofs than it would on walls, if we can figure it out. But the figuring out is the challenge.
Right.
We've gone round and round with our structural engineer on trying to make it work on roofs, and without the panel underneath.
Gotcha.
Like I have, 3 or 4 projects where we have it already installed and you have used it, but we used it as an insulation panel with a nail base.
Right.
Right. Not as a structural sheathing. The structural sheathing is below.
Yeah, you're basically recreating a SIPS panel on the roof almost at that point.
Pretty much.
And you're paying for multiple layers of stuff, where the whole point of Zip R is to not pay for multiple layers of the stuff in the first place.
Try and get rid of it underneath. Yeah.
But that assembly that we're talking about right now makes a lot of sense for why it works. You're not eliminating the structural sheathing directly attached to the trusses or the framing in the first place. You've eliminated the concern that you just brought up, Nick, of compressibility at point loads under snow for long term. You're not going to have that compression from the snow because the thing is fully supported. I don't know what snow loads look like in the future, I guess.
Right.
Maybe it's more dense. But that's
probably more about the panel underneath than the panel up above. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Whether or not the panel supports.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's a lot of money. That's a whole nother.
It is another trip around the moon with a more expensive.
In the most expensive place to install stuff.
Yeah.
On the roof.
Yep.
At height, on slope.
It's, exactly.
Why is it beneficial? Can we explain why continuous insulation on the roof, where we would see this being used and why?
So the benefit that I would see is if I have a client that has a strong aversion to spray foam, so that we want to use a vapor permeable insulation like cellulose or rock wool in the rafter cavities, then for the same reason that you'd put it on the outside of the wall to elevate the condensing surface temperature, you would put it on the roof.
Okay.
But the difference is it's always proportional. I mean, I forget what building science is. It 50%? Did they say?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm reluctant to say, but I would probably
zone too.
Yeah, but up to climate zone 5, I would say 30% on the outside, 70% inside. Would be a rule of thumb for me, plus or minus. It depends on everything comes in increments, so you have to play that game. So it might end up being 34%.
Is it always an unvented assembly where we're installing continuous insulation? I guess that's the only
unless
instance.
you vent over the top of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
right? I mean, like Jake said, it's a SIPS panel. So how would I install a SIPS panel except your SIPS panel is 2 15/16 or something, or 14/16, which is 7/8 instead of 11 1/4 inches.
Okay.
Right. But it's essentially, from a building science perspective, it's doing the same thing. But, you know, I would never, if I'm using spray foam, then why would I do this on the outside? I would just elevate the spray foam to a deeper issue and get more insulation. And the difference between this that I think is somewhat problematic is with a wall, most walls very rarely are going to go above a 2x6, and then they're going to put stuff on the outside. So when you're dealing with, say, my 30, well, even a 50% rule, if I put R21 inside, then I need R10 outside, right? On a roof, if I put R40 in the cavity, now I need 20 on the outside of foam.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a lot more insulation to put out there.
Well, and that's one of the challenges too with our sheathing in certain applications where you're required to use outboard foam insulation. The maximum that we have is an R12. We don't have anything north of that. So in certain applications, we can't even comply with your requirement, with your thermal requirements.
Right. So that becomes the challenge, although there's a lot of probably pretty good places of down in the South and stuff. Especially, you know, I think it relates to the building design in a sense that if you're down south, you have, lighter requirements on the roof insulation. You probably don't have a basement. You either have a crawl space or most likely a slab. So you have a much higher requirement for a conditioned attic than, say, we do in the Northeast, where we can just use the basement.
Because you want that space. So now it starts making sense in those warmer climates, right? Yeah. Down in Georgia or Alabama or Texas, Arizona, any one of the like.
You might be protecting your mechanicals up there too.
And you're protecting your mechanicals up there.
Yeah.
Right. For that same reason. Exactly. But
which is potentially beneficial because those places that you just named tend to be very low snow load locations too.
Well, and it's very low snow load, and I'm be biased to the Northeast. They don't build as good as the Northeast in a lot of those locations.
Shots fired.
I don't live in that market.
No, you live in the other market.
I knew that was coming as soon as I opened my mouth.
What about, so?
But you know, with that, it's like, I think it's very easy, and I part of it is a joke, but I think it's very easy for, say, someone in Georgia area, we'll just put the ductwork in the attic because that's what we've always done. In New England, we won't.
Right.
We just won't, for the most part. There's still some builders that do. I mean, they're all around.
So is there an instance where you have the roof decking underneath the R sheathing? Let's build this out, right?
Yeah.
Is there an instance where you have some sort of vapor impermeable foam as your rafter insulation? And if so, are you concerned about moisture becoming trapped in your primary layer of decking?
Would I be worried about if I sprayed closed cell on the underside of the roof deck?
And then you had foam
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying, what I said earlier. If I'm going to use closed cell up there, and let's just say in Georgia, we use 5 inches, get R35.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I just use 7 inches of closed cell and eliminate all the work on top of the structural
on the outside? Okay.
Right.
Also,
I've already committed to using that product. Most of the time I would see us using that is when we have a client that's what has an aversion to spray foam.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
And we have to move to a different material inside, which forces us to do things differently on the outside.
Right.
I'm in agreement with you, first of all, Steve, but we have that conversation a lot. But my question to you, Nick, would be, if we're spray foaming the inside and then it's roof decking, and then what are you putting on the top side if we're not insulating there? What's the next thing that goes on there in most markets? It's shingles, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you're using zip.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a non-vapor permeable material too. Like you're already capturing, like you're putting I'm assuming what ends up being, once it's all sealed down to itself,
yeah,
a
the
class
structural
1
panel
vapor
is,
retarder. It's captured either way.
In the form
materials.
of the roof, the finished roof.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
But you guys really want to hear a real novel idea? Roofs aren't supposed to leak,
Well,
right? So people say, when the roofs leak, well, okay, what kind of roofer? Who are you using?
right.
how about we fix it? If
Yeah,
it starts to leak?
let's have a roofer that, like, let's not pay the cheapest guy who became a roofer yesterday. Last week he was a fence guy,
Yeah.
and he just drove his different
God, that is
van.
an evolution in our industry sometimes too.
Yeah.
You go from
Handyman,
senior product application
fence, deck.
specialist.
Yeah,
Roofer.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're the roofer now.
That's
and
right.
next step, drywaller. You get to go inside.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Well, and I think we always assume the risk of moisture being in the panel,
But I mean,
but there shouldn't be.
you know what though? It's like, and I'm just going to use Northeast because I can use it as an example that I'm extremely familiar with. Like, I have the privilege of working with some really great guys. We sit here, we joke about the roofer, the fence guy,
Yeah.
and
I've
stuff.
been all those guys.
Right. Well, it's not so much I've been all those guys. The guys, like, I can look at the most recent project we did. These are like some of the best craftsmen out there. Like the roofer we used on that project, that roof is not going to leak.
No.
The drywaller did a beautiful plaster finish on the inside that he always does, and integrated our wood trim unbelievably successful. So yes, I sit here and joke. I just want to make sure everybody, Steve's slamming on drywallers, fence guys.
Yeah.
No, these guys are, fence guys. We did a project where they built this custom bore wire fence out of all Ipe. It was absolutely gorgeous, certainly not cheap, but given the time and money, these guys are craftsmen regardless of what they're doing. It's not just the guy putting up crown molding and hanging cabinetry, the drywallers. And if you ever want, I've taken the time to kind of test myself quietly, meaning I'll work with the drywaller and say, hey, let me try this. Like, go ahead. If you think you can do a plaster job. And the thing is you do it and it's like you're like Granny, right? Trying to do it nice and slow. He's just like, and he's like down the wall.
Looks perfect. Too.
And it looks perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm over there kind of doing my little 2-foot section that took me 5 minutes and it looks like crap. So I have the utmost, respect for all these guys because when they are good, they are exceptionally good. And you just don't realize it. We take them for granted.
One of the, this is a drywall story. One of the kids put a doorknob through drywall at my house, and not through, just dented it. And I patched it and painted it while my wife was out of town, for the weekend. And she legit said, well, who did you have fix that? And I could not have been more insulted. And she was like, well, every time you did drywall patches at our last house, we could see them. And I was like, our last house was 80 years old and had sand texture. There is no matching any of that.
And
I would like
and stuff from Uncle Charlie coming over at parties.
I would also like to remind you, I did all of the drywall in the house to start out with. So all of the other part of the house that you're happy with was me.
Yeah.
Can I get some level of, there's always an affront when it's my personal
You should have done a better job patching.
Yeah, I should have.
When I did my addition upstairs,
should have done.
When I did my addition upstairs, I said, okay, I'll hang all the drywall and stuff like it. Ain't gonna be that hard.
How far?
And after, no, it wasn't even that. It was, I showed up one day, I came home from work or something, and there's 3 drywall vans. And I'm like, what is this? And Holly's like, yeah, you're not doing the drywall. So she just
took
knew
it away.
better.
Called your bluff.
Yeah, she just took it away. And, but anyways, I don't even know how we got here.
We were talking about how your roof shouldn't leak, period.
Yeah, your roof shouldn't
leak. We're in the risk industry of just assuming that moisture is going to somehow get trapped in that first layer of decking if you have rigid foam outboard. But to Jake's point, you always pretty much have a vapor impermeable material outboard of your roof decking to begin with, and we're not concerned with that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you have metal roof or a clay tile roof or something like that has venting underneath of it. That's your one situation, maybe. But if you have asphalt, no, you have what becomes a monolithic vapor barrier eventually on the top side.
Yeah.
Which I think everybody forgets. Everybody looks at it and goes, okay, I didn't put foam up there, so now I'm good. to put foam on the underneath side, and then somebody else shows up with a truck full of shingles and makes it vapor impermeable on the top side.
Right.
Well, and I'm not going to throw you under the bus here at all.
Please do.
No, I'm not going to, and I'm not going to put you on the spot. But I will say, somebody that can make a panel with 2 inches of foam, when they figure out how to put it on a roof, they could probably make a panel with 4 or 5 inches of foam.
That's
so
absurd.
Yeah. Well, but I'm just thinking out loud that, like, when I view things, I always view things as stepping stones, not solutions. There's no such thing as a solution. They're just where we're at currently.
Yeah.
Before we get to the next step. So I think this is a step in the right direction. It definitely has some challenges. I mean, you get your calls for it. We've actually have used it. You know, I think 3 or 4 times we've done a project. One was like pretty much the whole roof where we did it. And there was a cost incurred, but it was the right choice for that project.
And just to reiterate, this is scenarios where your clients don't want to use a spray foam product.
And this one we didn't. This house has no spray foam.
But you still have an unvented.
We have a whole unvented.
So this is where this comes.
We did R12 on the roof, and then in the rafter cavity we have an R30 bat.
Gotcha.
Of
okay.
Rockwell.
Yeah. Where that 30 is not going to be enough.
Right.
On its own.
Yes.
And
we didn't want to make it a vented roof,
right?
Because of where it is and all of that. So
so there's plenty of application here.
There is the right application. The challenge with the industry is there's some builders. It's interesting that you're getting those calls, but the real challenge is how do you get the design profession to move in that direction, right? This is obviously, it's like you would think that the design industry, architects and home designers are the locomotive to the train, but they're not. They're more like the caboose, right? They want to go along after you figure it out.
Yeah.
So you guys now have to become the locomotive to this challenge, and kind of the buck stops with you. If you guys say, no, we can't do it, or we can't do it successfully.
Well, I think you just said that you've done it a couple of times. So I might have to just...
But that's me saying...
Call Steve. Do you want to give Steve's phone number?
Well, I talked it over with our homeowner, and I said, this is the right job. The builder was very confident that our roof isn't going to leak. So I didn't call you because I don't really care about your warranty because we're going to do a good job on this house with qualified people and craftsmen. So I'm willing to take that, right? Because it's the right material, the right choices for that project.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty uncommon.
It's very uncommon. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying your challenge is how do we get people? And it's like, using the Advantech and the raft slab detail. I get people all the time like, hey, how did you do this? How did you get by your engineer? I had a conversation with them. And it's like, well, our engineer doesn't want to do it. I'm like, well, then get a different engineer. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Right? I mean, you're going to find opposition all along the way, and I'm sure you're going to find the same thing here. It's like you can work out this detail with your engineer and specify whatever fasteners, the fastening schedule. There is a lot to using it that I didn't realize. And the fact that it moves kind of different than the wall, so that there's issues there that you have to solve for structurally. But you use that roof diaphragm as a very, you put each panel on, but they're a component of a much larger structural solution that has to work very well together.
Right. Was that the main pain point, would you say, when you did these roofs?
It's probably, the fastening schedule and what fastener it is, and making sure that that's adhered to.
Right.
Which I think has probably been a pain point for Huber as well.
Absolutely.
In their R&D process of trying to figure this out.
Yeah,
I had to guess.
In the document that we do have, we list a couple of fasteners, but I believe that we're only referencing support to the existing structural decking, which is another issue, right? Is we only illustrate it being attached to the deck.
I mean, I'll leave you with, our structural engineer said it really, like, if you were to design that, it's like give consideration to actually selecting the screw or nail that has to be used.
Yeah.
Because you can't just say, use this 3-inch screw, and because then a builder's going to say, well, we don't use the SDS, we use this. Is that okay? No, they're not the same screw, and it wasn't designed to that system.
Right.
And the screw, the diameter of the screw, how deep it goes in, the shape of the screw. There's just a lot of things that are at play.
When we get these questions back to our sheathing on the wall, especially when we're talking about the R12 panel being 2.5 inches thick, structural application, we need 1.5 inches of penetration into framing. We can only recommend the use of nails because those are the only fasteners that are listed in the building code as structural sheet, that and them and nails and staples. But I don't think you're finding a 2.5 inch long or a 3.5 inch to 4 inch staple. So yeah, all this to say, we run into the screw question and the fastener question for our sheathing regularly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't, in that light, it doesn't take, I've actually did the calculations because a building inspector called us on it, of like what kind of screw embedment and what was the spacing on screws for a large furred out insulation system. And I was amazed that when you do the math, like the spacing on the screws was probably something like 48 or 50 inches.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot wider than, like, going to 16 inches was like a safety factor of 2.5.
Wow. Okay.
So you didn't need a lot. I mean, if we were to do a R12, we would probably nail it and then put furring strips over it, nail the furring strip temporarily, and then we would finish the product with going like 24 inches on center with a screw that goes all the way into the stud and basically secures the whole system. Yeah. But again, that's, good things cost money. I tell clients, people have heard me say that before. So it's like, if you're trying to build the cheapest possible house and then do these kinds of details, like you have this internal battle that is, they're about as far away from each other, right? Like,
sure. I want to go 0 to 60
I want to do this,
and
we're using the cheapest roofer we can get in our thing. And it's like, okay, now your roof is at risk.
It's a balancing act.
It's definitely a balancing act. And it's like, I don't know how you solve that, because they're always going to be there. Right. The cheapest guy is always going to try and be cheaper. And people are going to try and beat him up or her up. And they're going to try and lower their price. And you get this other roofer. He's a new one. I've never used him before, but it looks like he can do it. Yeah.
We talked, Steve, recently in a podcast with Peter about having the right team in place. That comment about find a different engineer, like that. If you guys, Huber, aren't supporting something that you're wanting to do, be it this or some other method, your engineer also has the ability to put a stamp on that if it's something that actually works from the perspective of the engineer.
Much.
Like, we forget that sometimes, that like it's not just, is it approved in the code, is it approved by the manufacturer? That's why we have an engineer of record on the project, so that you can say, I need to be able to do this, I need to make this opening this, I need to use this product in this way. Can you get me a stamp for this? Do you mind, adding a page to the plans for this one detail or whatever it may be? And the concept of find another engineer, for the longest time, I thought that was like, oh, well, they all do the same thing. And then we had a meeting with an engineer that I didn't know. And in the first meeting, he said, well, I would prefer we not do 16-inch or 16-foot wide openings for garage doors. That's pretty hard to deal with. And I was like, this is not going to be...
This is not an engineer.
This is not going to be what we're going to do. Yeah. And I was like, we do have the option to find a more reasonable person who understands what we're doing, rather than
somebody actually wants to do engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very, very fortunate. My engineer that's local to us, he learned from his dad who still comes to the office. Like, it's very light hours, but he has the ability, like, whatever I throw at him, he can just turn. It's kind of like our office, right? Like, he can just turn around and say, "Hey, Dad, what would you do here?
What's going on with
And
it?
Dad's got like over 50 years of wisdom. I had the privilege of doing a couple projects where John, our regular engineer, is like, "Yeah, my dad, I'm just going to send him out there. He's got more history and knowledge about that. So I'm just going to send him out there and you can deal with him." And I'm out there with him and he's like, "Yeah, shit, back in 68, we did this and that stuff didn't fall apart." And it's like, people get all worried about this. Just do this, weld that. We're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that actually does engineering.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're a builder that actually builds. I'm an architect that actually designs.
Right.
It's like, hire a team that's doing their job.
Well, and that, I mean, you could say that.
It is, but you know, when people say, "Well, I don't," I'm not going to take the risk of the roof leaking. I'm the architect. The risk of the roof leaking is not my risk.
Right.
I draw the roof. That's his risk as the general contractor and the roofer's risk. That's not my risk. So the architect's, "Well, I'm not going to worry. I can't do that detailed. Roof's not supposed to leak."
No. Framing's supposed to be straight. You're supposed to be able to hang it like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. Have we beat that up?
Yeah, I think we beat
So
that
our
up.
sheeting on the roof. Call Steve.
No, don't call me.
I like that wrap up more than anything. Call Steve.
Don't call me. Call the technical.
Call it.
I still haven't done it, but I'm warning you. I'm going to call into your technical group there.
You're going to catch us on the day of days, too.
"Hey, I'm trying to do this roof here, and we got 2 layers of R12 going up, and the client's real crazy, but we want to use the 16-inch screw." And I'm just going to go on, and you guys are going to be like, "What in the hell is this guy talking about?" But I will.
Go ahead.
But before we go,
Yeah.
did I ever tell you guys I actually was an electrician at one point in my time?
No.
Years ago. Yeah, I wasn't very good at it. People were shocked.
You knew it was coming.
I did. On that note, if you have questions, you want to participate in the conversation.
Yeah.
Questions.
I would call the technical people at Huber.
Yeah.
I mean, regularly.
What is the tech line email?
It's techquestions with an S. TECH questions @huber.com.
There you go. And until next time, questions@unbuilditpodcast.com, and have a good day.
Bye-bye.